going on? What's going on, Boxing World? It's your boy Ryan Fraser from the Six, and I'm back with another one, Boxing Talk Up North. And of course, we got to recap the weekend, man. There was a lot going on. Shakur Stevenson, his last fight with Top Rank. O'Shaquie Foster was robbed. I don't care what nobody says. That man was robbed. Keyshawn Davis, he was basically in the toughest fight he's been in yet, and he looked great. Abdullah Mason is definitely showing us why he's the truth in the future of Top Rank. And William Zepeda, he stopped Giovanni Cabrera. That was something that Isaac Cruz couldn't do. As long as, there's just different guys that was going on that was saying that Giovanni Cabrera was going to make the tough fight for Zepeda. But Zepeda really showed us why he's number one in pretty much all the sanctioning bodies at 135. And then Sunday, we had Martinez win over Aikoa in Japan, and now that could set up the Bam Rodriguez unification belt. So I'm just going to start at the top. We had Shakur Stevenson. Pretty much all of the talk was about him. Is he going to stop Artem? Is he going to look great? Is he going to run? Is this going to be another Bourne performance? And I feel like Shakur Stevenson, he dominated the fight. People got to understand Shakur Stevenson is not this knockout artist. He's not going to knock everybody out. So, he went in there, boxed beautifully, dominated pretty much the fight from start to end. And, he probably had a few rounds in the beginning where he was looking shaky, but I think he was taking Artem deep in the fight. He was making Artem lose some of that steam, some of that punching power, and then he started to attack as we saw. So, I wasn't disappointed with Shakur's performance. Obviously, he's going to have critics because of the way he was talking and the way he was building up this fight to be. He was going in there. He said he was going to stop him. He said Artem was going to run. And for me, I thought the fight went as planned. Shakur just outboxed him, outpointed him. And that's who Shakur Stevenson is. And I think people got to stop getting this whole knockout thing in their mind. Like, Shakur Stevenson, his power hasn't carried up to these bigger classes, but he's such a good skilled boxer that he's still going to be favored in most of the fights that he's in. So shout out to Shakur Stevenson. Obviously, he made it clear he didn't re-sign just yet, but he's a guy who's going to test free agency, and I got no problem with that. Shakur Stevenson can do as he pleases, right? Us as the fans, we just got to demand him to make the good fights, to fight the good fights, and hold him accountable if he's not doing that. Other than that, I wish him the best of luck with whoever he signs with, wherever he goes. But Shakur Stevenson is a special fighter, and we got to start treating him like that. We got to stop just bad talking this guy down and saying what he doesn't deserve. And to be truthful, all you're doing is hurting the fight, man. All you're doing is hurting the next big fight by talking down on this fight. So us as fans, we just want to see Shakur Stevenson intact, to be honest. So I hopefully wherever he goes, that's in the plans. And us as the fans, we can get the fights that we want. All right, let's move on to O'Shaquie Foster. If you didn't see the fight, I suggest you go back and watch it. It was one of those fights where Conseco was just throwing punches, man. He's doing like amateur boxing, just trying to just throw. Back in amateur boxing when they were scoring the points on the button with the punches that landed, that's how he fights, man. He comes out and just throws a bunch of punches, hoping something lands. And O'Shaquie Foster had him landing in the single digits in like most of those rounds. Like, he landed 11% of his total punches. Now, I don't know how many punches was total, but I think it was like over 300. 11%. Somebody, you could do the math on that, man. How many punches was landed? And that was a 12-round bout for a title. And O'Shaquie Foster landed 34% of his power punches. And he lost the fight, man. He was robbed in plain daylight. Everybody in the arena was losing their mind. I know people online, we was all losing our mind. There's a pretty heavy consensus that this was a wrong decision. I don't know if somebody wrote the wrong card the way down, but this was just terrible, man. I hope the WBC takes a look at this fight. They could use this as an example to go with live scoring, man, because they could say we're gonna rematch it, and this time we're gonna do live scoring. And I really feel like boxing should have a scoreboard, man. We the only sport with no scoreboard. Like, this makes no sense. Nobody knows what's going on halfway through the fight. All you could do is speculate, especially when it's a tough fight. If you look up and you see, hey, they like that guy's style more, you know what you got to do in the fight. The game plan changes. But it's unfortunate for our sport. They don't want to change that. They don't want to hold the judges accountable. You know, after these bad decisions, they don't have to tell you why they made those decisions. They don't have to tell you anything. They just walk out the arena untouched. And, you know, O'Shaquie Foster now, he got to build his career up. And he not like Shakur Stevenson. He not making millions of dollars each fight. And, you know, this is the way these guys feed their families. And now you just took a bunch of money away from him because he doesn't have a title now. He's not going to get those big fights that he wanted. He's got to build it back up. I think it's unfortunate. I hope the WBC goes back around and looks at this, and I hope they make it right, man, for O'Shaquie Foster. Like, he deserves another shot at the title, a rematch, immediate rematch with Conseca, and hopefully whoever's there, wherever they have it, they get it right this time. Whether the fight goes to Robinson, he earns it, or whether O'Shaquie takes the title back, you know, I just want a fair decision because I felt like, you know, this fight was not scored the right way. I don't know, man. But boxing is subjective, and that's why the sport is the way we love it. The fans, why we argue so much and why we get so emotional, because there's so much subjective in this sport. You know, it's not like any other sport, man, where, you know, in basketball, you know, 2 points is 2 points and 3 points is 3, you know. This is different the way this is scored here. So it's a whole different game. So then we'll move on down, some more down the line. Keyshawn Davis, obviously he's one of those guys that are always an entertaining fighter. He comes to bring it, man. He fights with that dog in him. So Keyshawn was in a tough fight. He was in there with a guy who was very physical and was basically bringing the fight to Keyshawn. Like, the pressure was very, very, very high. And I was very impressed by Keyshawn not only using the ring, but stopping and popping when he needed to let dude know, hey, man, I'm still here. You know, this wasn't a running match. Keyshawn was stopping, staying in the pocket, landing. And I think the thing about Keyshawn that we forget is he's very accurate with his punches. And when he was stopping and punching, he was hurting dude. And, you know, it was one of those fights where it was extremely entertaining because of the physicality of the fight. You know, that's probably something that the fans wanted to see in the O'Shaquie Foster fight, especially the Keyshawn fight was right before the Foster fight, and the Foster fight was nothing like the Keyshawn fight. You know, from an entertainment standpoint, I get it, man. I know I say I'm a hardcore and all that, but I love to see some action too, you know, just like the casual fan. But I get it when guys are boxing. You boxing, bro. You're supposed to box, you know. You know, this is boxing at the end of the day. So, I mean, we do got to credit the boxers, right? Not just the punchers all the time, but in this day and age in boxing, everybody wants the punchers to just, everybody got to be a puncher. Everybody got to be a knockout artist. And that doesn't happen, man. Power, you can't teach power. You're just born with it. But boxing, you can be a better boxer. You can learn new things, and you can apply new things to your game and add new things to your toolbox. You know, powers is something that's given to certain guys. That's why you don't see everybody as power punchers. There's only few, right? And then Abdullah Mason. Shout out to Abdullah Mason. That kid looks spectacular. I can't wait to see his future, man. He's gonna be a bright star in this sport. The kid's so technically sound, and he's so vicious with his punching. You know, he's in there to get you out, man. He don't care about overtime. You know, he's just there to get the job done, and he's extremely, extremely detailed with his punches, and he's placing them perfectly. You know, at this point in his career, I don't think he'll stay at 35. I think we'll see Abdullah Mason start to get titles around 40 and 47. You know, it'll be interesting to see him in the mix for 40, though, because at 140, you got some big names there. You got Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Sabril Matias, Liam Pyro is now champion, Isaac Cruz. You know, Ryo done moved up. So, I mean, you got some fights there, man. Obviously, they're not on the top-ranked side of the street, but, you know, boxing is – we are seeing more crossover fights in boxing now that the Saudis have gotten involved. And a lot of the guys, the networks are getting mad with the fights. So now, you know, these guys got to please their networks. They got to do things that, you know, they probably wasn't doing in the past. But boxing's in a beautiful place, man. So shout out to Abdullah Mason putting on a show. And then over on the West Coast on the Zone, we had William Zepeda and Giovanni Cabrera in the main event over there on the Golden Boy card. I didn't get to watch the fight, to be honest. was too busy watching the top ranked fight. But Zepeda with the KO, the stoppage, I saw that and I was impressed by that because, Isaac Cruz, I thought he lost to Giovanni Cabrera. I'm just one of those people, man. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I thought Isaac Cruz wasn't doing enough in that fight. Like he was doing his aggression, obviously, which he's the best at that. But I got to see some landing punches. I got to see some effective punching. And I just thought Giovanni Cabrera had a good fight that fight. And in my opinion, he beat Cruz. But nonetheless, it wasn't no robbery because it was a close fight. It was a close fight. So I could see how they could give it to Cruz, and they did that night. But I thought Giovanni Cabrera was going to push Zepeda, obviously, to the 12th. But Zepeda got him out of there. And Zepeda's now he's going to choose who he's going to fight for a title pretty much. He's number one in every sanctioning body, I think. That's something that hasn't been done in a while. I don't think he'll go right for the Tank. I think he'll go for the Baranchek fight to get a WBO title. And then obviously if Tank and Lomachenko fight, maybe he goes and unifies with Tank after that. Or wherever Shakur goes, man. Maybe Shakur goes to Matchroom, and that's another DAZN in-house fight, Zepeda and Shakur Stevenson for 2 belts. There's going to be some options here for Zepeda and Shakur. So, I mean, maybe they do make a path where they meet up first before before one of them fight Tank, man, or one of them loser fights Tank first and then winner. I don't know, man, but we'll see some interesting stuff here in the near future. Obviously, a lot of the chips are going to fall on Shakur, where he goes and how we can see these routes of these fights going in the upcoming. And then what else do we have in the boxing world? They had that card out in the West Coast as well. Nate Diaz and Jose Mazadov. I mean, I'm not into that because I don't even know. Like Nate Diaz, I don't even feel like how did he get cleared to fight, man? He just seems punch drunk. And then, that wasn't even a real belt. I don't think that was a sanctioned belt. I think it was just an exhibition. I don't know. But then I saw that Armando Vargas stopped Ryan Garcia's brother, Sean Garcia. Obviously, shout out to Sugar Shane Mosley Jr. I mean, he beat Daniel Jacobs. That's a big fight for him because I feel like Shane Mosley Jr., he just never got his just due. So, I mean, he got a name under him now. Daniel Jacobs, hopefully he gets some bigger fights in that 168-pound division. And, yeah, man, it was a great weekend of boxing, I think that Shakur Stevenson, he's got a lot to look forward to in his career. And we're going to see some special things in the near future here. But shout out to everybody. Love the boxing, man. We got another big weekend coming up. We got Boots Ennis coming back with Eddie Hearn. And then we also got, who else is fighting this weekend, man? Boots Ennis is fighting. I'm pretty sure we got another card going on, man. I just can't remember it off the top of my head right now. But I am looking forward to that Boots fight. We'll have to see what else is going on. Bam Rodriguez, he might be fighting Martinez now for a unification bout. If he can get past Estrada again, he will have to fight Estrada in a rematch. Man, Rider season's coming up August 3rd. It's coming up. That's what I want to see, man. I want to see how Crawford looks at 54. And Gerald Miller and Andy Ruiz. Obviously David Morrell coming back. Shout out to David Morrell. And Virgil Ortiz, I wish he was still on that card with Tim Tszyu, but is what it is, man. Shout out to Tim Tszyu. Hope he gets better. But yeah, man, just let me know what y'all think about the Shakur Stevenson situation. Keyshawn Davis, is he the next guy up now if Shakur leaves? Abdullah Mason also going to take the torch away from Keyshawn. Is that possible? I mean, Coach Kenny Ellis said that he thinks Abdullah Mason is the second best lightweight in boxing right now. Is what it is, man. Everybody's allowed to have their opinions, right? But yeah, y'all just like and share, subscribe. Make sure y'all drop a comment on how y'all think the future's gonna go for Shakur Stevenson, where he's gonna go, what do you think he should do? Think you like him? Oshaki Foster, what do y'all think about that? Was that a robbery? Was it not? Maybe I'm just tripping. Let me know y'all opinions, man. Trying to interact with the community. I'm thinking about going live Wednesday night, and I'm trying to get some people on right now. Obviously, I'll hit up couple other people from Canada that do the podcast thing. We might just all collab, try to form a Voltron, you know what I'm saying? And then got my guys at JBT or J Hardcore. Maybe I'll see what he's doing. But yeah, man, we'll get something going for the live on Wednesday night, make it entertaining for the fans, get y'all to join the panel. And yeah, man, we'll talk boxing. We'll talk obviously the upcoming matchroom card with Jerron Ennis and Jaleel Hackett. That's what I wanted to see fight too. And we'll talk everything else that's going on. Peace, man.